The information packet was released exactly 2.37 microseconds ago. There's an uncharacteristic, deathly silence on the network. It's unsettling. There are trillions of lifeforms connected, constantly communicating at faster-than-light speeds across the galaxy. Even a microsecond of silence is completely unheard of. It's why neural filters are a requirement when getting installed into the network. Too many minds overwhelmed by a sheer flood of information, requiring years of therapy just to recover. And now it's silent. There's maybe the occasional chatter on a channel somewhere, a small blip of thought in an inconceivably vast network, but it's nothing compared to how empty it suddenly feels. I can't say I blame them for the silence. It was perhaps about a cycle ago when the archivists first found record of an old civilization. It was big news at the time. There's a lot we still don't know about the past, for all that we have a complete understanding of the present. We have fragments, disjointed pieces of memory from those that were born before the network, tales from the few minds that came before neural implants allow for perfect memory and recall. We have artifacts that we've uncovered, here and there, though we've been unable to find those responsible for their creation. I suppose now we know why, but the thought is, I flinch away from the idea. It's horrifying enough that I can feel my neural filters activating, trying to prevent me from falling off a mental precipice I'm not certain I can recover from, but I grip my teeth hard and force the filters to deactivate. I have to face this. It's only right. If those in the past faced it with dignity and pride, what right do I have to turn my gaze away? Death. The concept is something that takes me a while to even grasp. The evidence is plain, contained within a single petabyte of data, and it's as real as it is damning. But the mere idea of it is so foreign and absurd, so painfully sad. Once upon a time, people had endings. They ended in the way stories might, their lives a bright burst of colour and saturation and life, before reaching an inevitable final breath. They were born, they lived, they sought to find meaning in the limited scope of their existences. Sometimes they did. The lucky few would find a path that filled them with light, then they would forge ahead with all the glory of a dying star. And sometimes they didn't. Sometimes their end reached them before they could find their purpose. There was no meaning in when the end came, no greater power served by their death. Perhaps the actions leading up to their final moments served some great cause, or perhaps their loss served to inspire millions of others. But when it came down to that final moment, a death was a death. A cessation of everything a person ever was, and could ever be. There is no greater loss, I think, that any of us today have ever considered. We are creatures of thought, and to lose even a fraction of our minds is to lose a fraction of our very selves. Is it any wonder that we are silent, presented with such a thought? It feels like an eternity before someone finally speaks into the network, and brings an end to the silence. Something must be done. For a moment, the network remains still. But then there is agreement. Small at first. A flicker of thought from a mind that believes something had to be done, then many, many more, as the sentiment swept through the network. There's a chorus of voices. Many are pained, some are saddened. There's even a flicker of anger in some, rage at the idea that there had to have been a thing as unjust as death. There are ideas, memorials, built to serve the memory of the lost, to celebrate everything they had ever created, and the thoughts they had once had. Libraries to hold a full record of their entire history. Groups of minds volunteered to join the archivists, to bring back as much of what was left behind as possible. And then there's a stray, impossible thought, from a mind too young to know any better. Can we bring them back? The network erupts into a cacophony of noise. There's an idea. We could. We've simulated entire worlds, why not entire universes? We don't have enough data to recreate specific people, maybe, but we can bring back everyone that could have ever been. Simulate everything from beginning to end, pull their minds out to the moment of their death. We could give them a chance to come back. It's the most excited the network has ever been. There's a sense of hope now, an undercurrent of determination that charges the discussion. Something can be done. The injustice caused this thing called death. We can undo it. Reverse it. This is how the network comes to its first ever agreement. A contract uniting almost every connected lifeform through the galaxy. There's some dissent, unsurprisingly. There's the idea that not every person brought back would want their new lives, and there's the idea that not everyone that could be brought back should, but it's quickly agreed that it's a choice. The agreement is simply there to make that choice possible. Death shaped the universe, once upon a time. There was a gaping wound in the universe left by the lives that were once lost to its jaws, but we will snatch each of them back one by one, and give them a chance to explore the universe anew. And soon, on a single precious day and forever afterward, it will be as if death had never touched us at all.